welcome to the Bay County 2018 Boys Wrestling Championship. Jeff Doan, along with Mike Vincent. We are tuning in first on a match featuring Western and Pinconning.
Looks like Cameron Childs going for Pinconning, taking on Caleb Raymaker for Western.
Western looks like they've got a full contingent here again today, Mike.
You know, it was funny. I was driving here. I was thinking Garber might have the nod for this year's county championship, but I'm looking at the numbers, and I switched my thought to Western. Looks like they might have the nod today.
Well, and when you're looking at sheer numbers, you're looking at kids that have the potential to wrestle 5 times today.
Yes, round 1 of the county championships is a completely different match than round 5, and it comes down to conditioning and who did the most work in the last 3 weeks.
So off to an early 6-0 start here, the Western Warriors.
Yep. Looks like they're ready to go today. Coach Isaiah Thomas in his 6th or 7th year for Bay City Western. Looks like he has them ready to go.
Looks like the first 2 points of the match will go to the John Glenn Bobcats. That score right now 6-2 in the first period.
Oh, this is a good one over here. Yep, John Glenn has Peglow going against Hoisington for Garber.
So right here on the right side, we're going to be bouncing back and forth as we go. It's going to be tough for us to just keep our eyes on one side. Wish we had 2 cameras, but then we'd need 4 commentators, and we only have 1 expert here today, and it's not me.
Wow. Well, I'm going to hit the ground running just like you're instructing, Jeff, so I'm going to need another cup of coffee here to get things going, though. Looks like the kids are ready to go, though. Raymaker spins for 2 for Pinconning.
As we're going to look up, I thought that the boards were accurate at 6-0 on both sides, but I'll have to check and see what they're doing for their scoring system if each individual board is the same.
I believe that was 6 points team void. Western scored at 171. Pinconning didn't have a 71 wrestler, so I believe they're starting at 89. And I want to change that. That's Brock Nuremberg for Western. He's going against Jesse Dubé of Pinconning. Now I'm ready to go, Jeff.
Brock Nuremberg comes from some fairly good stock.
Yes, he does. Coach Nuremberg goes back to the, I believe, the early to mid 80s for Bay City Western, and he left his mark there.
And he's been rather prominent hanging around the program, lending his assistance.
Absolutely. I think Coach Nuremberg, no offense, Coach, but I believe he spent over half of his life in this game.
Well, he's got a great passion, and Brock certainly has been exposed to a whole lot of work, and he's finding himself down on his back right now.
Jesse Dubé, tough kid from Pinconning. If you remember last year, Pinconning was the surprise team of the tournament. They're a little short-handed today, but the guys they brought are some very tough competitors. Dubé just scored a pin against a very tough Brock Nuremberg. Ties the score at 6 now.
Wow, that was an unbelievable match, and going back and forth. As again, we started at the 171 rank, and so our next weight class up is going to be the 189.
There it is, 189 for Western. And our apologies, like I said, we're hitting the ground running. Brock Nuremberg is now coming up to wrestle for Bay City Western.
So we've watched him through the years. He started in like that 45 class or maybe the 52, and as he's continued to physically develop, has had to move up the ranking.
Yep, that's a guy that's very familiar with the weight room, I'll tell you that. The pounds that he has put on in the last couple of years are full blast muscle. Quick takedown for Nuremberg. Scores a quick 2 for Western.
It just goes to show you being a gym rat is certainly not a bad thing.
Nope. Definitely not in this sport. I was told my wrestlers, the absolute 100% necessity in this game is you have to be in shape. It doesn't guarantee success, but if you're not in shape, it guarantees you will not be successful.
Like any sport, mental and physical toughness have to go 50-50.
And absolutely, and I think this is the game that really orchestrates that combination more than any other game. It's a mental game and it's a physical game, and the two come together between November and March. Very tough sport.
Look at the takedown by Nuremberg, and he finishes it quickly.
In less than a minute, Nuremberg, like his father, making his mark at Bay City Western.
Looks like the Pinconning young man came down hard on that shoulder and has got at least a little stinger going right now.
Yep. And that young man has 4 matches to go. Just like we were alluding to, round 1 of the county tournament is a different game than round 5. By round 5, more than half the guys have a lot of bumps and bruises, and it takes a lot of heart in round 5.
I think in wrestling, more than some other sports, you don't run into a ton of 3-sport athletes. A lot of these kids are dedicated to just this one sport.
More and more. This is a year-round game. As I said, the conditioning is just off the charts. It is so much work. Quick funny story as we get ready for the next match. I recall, wrestling in high school, and my alma mater asked me to come back to help work out with a guy that they had, and I was actually running long distance, running marathons in college, and I came back to wrestle this kid, running, 10, 15, 20 miles a day, and then I squared off against this kid, and I couldn't catch my breath after a minute. Wrestling is a much different game than any other sport. Wrestling conditioning is different than anything.
So we've got 3 Western Warriors out on the mat right now. I would say that would be 3 uncontested weight classes where Western is going to receive points.
Yes, as we mentioned, Pinconning is a little short-handed today. 5 guys, it looks like, on the bench for them, and was talking before things started today, and appears that all the teams have some issues with, I'm going to put this delicately, some boys that are working on their studies at home this weekend.
Well, and you know what? It's great that they enforce that, because if you don't excel in the classroom, you should not have an opportunity to excel on the mat.
Absolutely. And it's another thing all the coaches try to stress to our wrestlers, that this sport teaches us that we are capable of working about 10 times harder than we ever thought we were capable of working. And I think behind all the wins and losses and medals and charts, that's the most valuable lesson this sport teaches.
So we've got one of the early weight classes here, and a quick advantage for the Pinconning area Spartans as they get the first 2 points of the match.
Going against who?
As the match going on here between Western and Pinconning. What a nice spin move by the Pinconning area Spartans. They've got the Western Warriors in trouble. They're going to get at least 2 points for the takedown. It's another nice move by the Pinconning area Spartans, and they've got a 4-0 lead here in this match. What weight class are we looking at, Mike?
I'm going to check on that. I'm going to try to eyeball it here. These guys look like they're about 135. I'm going to check that right now.
135 has been confirmed by a thumbs up. And the 135 for the Pinconning area Spartans is putting on quite a show.
Jacob Brooks out of Pinconning. As I said, the Pinconning coaching staff really emphasized conditioning, toughness, and technique. We saw that last year, and we are seeing that right now. Jacob Brooks doing a real nice job against a very tough team.
Well, and we commented last year, too, it was just nice to see them bring the wrestling program back into the forefront at Pinconning.
Yes, and I was told by my sources this morning that Pinconning will definitely be a different team in February than they are right now. They are emerging once again, as we can see. That's Dakota Lazarovich for Bay City Western.
Now, we just saw a towel hit the mat. What's up with a towel out on the mat?
I believe that was the end of round 1. And it looks like former coach Ed Jaworski working the towel and working the table today.
So on to the second of 3 rounds, 2 minutes each.
2-minute rounds. Only a 6-minute match, which if you're not familiar with the sport doesn't sound like an awful lot, but 6-minute match, I'll tell you, Jeff, it's it takes a while to catch your breath after a full blast match.
Well, and when you multiply that times maybe an hour break and having to do that 5 times in a day, it will test your endurance.
Absolutely. There will be some boys tomorrow morning and afternoon will be feeling the county tournament 24 hours later.
So again, 30 seconds into our second round, the Pinconning area Spartans with at the moment advantage over the Western Warriors, as looking to get a move. He's got him down on his back temporarily, and the Western Warrior able to slide back over. These two kids again are
Jacob Brooks for Pinconning leading Lazarovich 12-3 with about a minute to go in the round.
As the Pinconning area Spartans in this match certainly have got a lot of ride time and got a lot of points for their efforts.
Yes, top riding of the 3 facets to this sport. There's on your feet, there's the down position, and there's the top position. High school wrestling, generally speaking, top wrestling gets the least attention in the workout room. And the teams that can wrestle successfully on top tend to be the upper tier teams.
Now the Pinconning area wrestler was just about to let his opponent up. Talk about the strategy involved with that.
Well, if you're a good top wrestler, besides scoring back points, which Brooks is doing right now, you can really wear a guy down and take his stamina. You can empty his tank as a top wrestler and inflict a lot of damage.
Nearing the outside of the circle, that is subject to the interpretation of the referee when it's unsafe outside the circle.
That's correct. At the high school level, if the shoulders are outside of the wrestling circle, no back points can be scored. And usually if there are 4 limbs out, the referee will blow the whistle and start him back in the center, just like veteran referee Cal Tierhart just did.
And I'm looking here and seeing a couple of veteran officials too, and there aren't a ton of these, so certainly when you do matches all year long, you become familiar with the nucleus of people that do most of the matches.
Oh, absolutely. And this sport, as I told you, is a cult sport. The people that are, it's not a huge sport popular-wise, but the ones that are in it tend to be in it for a good portion of their lives. I've known Cal Tierhart since the 1990s. Terrific referee, terrific guy, loves the game.
I like their disposition out on the mat. They're very even-keeled for the most part.
Yes, I would say the wrestling referees, and I'd be interested in your thoughts as a referee, but I think the wrestling referees tend to be the most thick-skinned of all the referees in all the sports. They're the ones that tend to be surrounded by the crowd, and they hear a lot of things that they have to turn a deaf ear to.
So we have got a victory for the Pinconning area Spartans, and they get on the board.
Jacob Brooks scored a 5-point tech fall for Pinconning. For our new wrestling fans out there, team points work as follows. If the wrestler pins the opponent, that's worth 16 points. If he scores a technical fall, that is 15 points. The match is immediately stopped, that's 5 team points. A major victory, 8 to 14 points. And a regular decision is worth 3 points.
All right, we're going to take a quick break and come back as we get into the Garber and John Glenn match right after this on Bay County TV.
At Covenant Healthcare, we lead with the most advanced technology. We lead with the most experienced, comprehensive medical and surgical teams. We lead with partnerships to teach our future doctors and with organizations who help us bring world-renowned care close to home. We lead because our patients are at the center of everything we do. Covenant Healthcare, extraordinary care for every generation.
Village Towing and Auto Repair of Caucaulin and Bay City is here to help you in your hour of need with fast and friendly service. With over 30 years of towing experience, we know how to get the job done quickly and safely. From big to small, we do it all. Give us a call at 989-684-9607 for all your towing needs. As we switch gears now to the mat on the left, and we have got a match where we have got one of the new entries in, and that is female wrestling now a part of it.
Yes, you see that more and more, particularly in the last decade. This is Kaylee Wupio from Garber going against a real tough guy, Dakota Forgash of John Glenn. Dakota's been wrestling since he's about 5 years old, and he is scoring big right now. Back to what you mentioned, female wrestlers, it's not as uncommon as you might think. It started happening particularly in the last 10 years. Back when I was wrestling in the 80s, this would have been a CNN nationwide story, and now the girls more and more are getting involved in this tough sport.
Do you find it more in the lower classes than you do in the upper?
Actually, I would say it's pretty evenly spread out, upwards from 103 to 152, 160. I would say the girls that are successful tend to be in the 103, 112 pound range, generally speaking.
Well, you were correct that that was not a lengthy match, as Dakota scored a pin.
Yeah, Dakota Forgash, as I said, he's been wrestling since he's about 5 years old. We're good friends with the Forgash family, and Coach Forgash is particularly adept at this sport. So, evidently shown Dakota a lot of good things. Dakota's going to have a successful year this year.
So it looks like we just got a match without a common opponent and points scored.
Jesse Hugo takes a void for Garber, and they're exchanging voids at this point. That was Wyatt Bossbach of John Glenn takes a void at 19. Scores Dukes 24-9 in over the John Glenn Bobcats right now.
So our next weight class looks to be the 25, and I don't see Garber with, so potentially that's where Jenks just came in with the 25 forfeit.
Yes, Jenks will take a void for John Glenn, and now we're 24-15 in favor of the Dukes.
Carson Stasek and Zach Greenleaf will be potentially our next match here.
Looks like they're going to square off at 130. John Glenn still in the ball game. Interesting team. I noticed this morning they have some very good numbers, and name might sound familiar to you, Jeff. Guy named Matt Bishop is helping out. 25 match coming up for Garber and John Glenn. I was mentioning Matt Bishop, former state champ for John Glenn from the early 1990s. He's working as an assistant coach for John Glenn and helping the numbers pop up there.
All right, we've got Matt Jenks, and do we have somebody on the backside in 25 for Garber? We'll have to, can you check quick, see if you can get a name for the other young man wrestling from Garber?
I'll be right back.
All righty. That's the beauty of having close people up top, as we'll find out what's going on here in just a second. Unfortunately, the rosters that they gave us aren't always complete, so we are shifting on the fly. Looks like the John Glenn Bobcats are going to score a quick 2 on top and try to make things happen, as Matt Jenks is doing a nice job. As again, he's got 2 points. And the Garber Dukes trying to get away. What did we find out?
That is Zach Greenleaf, and we are at 130.
All right, so we've got a 25 wrestling at the 30 position. Is that potentially what we're looking at?
Greenleaf weighed a little light today. The weight sheet says 128.9. He's going against Stasek from John Glenn, who weighed in at 130 even.
And after this match is done, we will get into the process at which kids come in this morning, starting with something very important, and that is the weigh-in.
Yes, that's there's been a lot of complexity added to the weigh-in process, and it's going to take we'll need a long break to discuss it.
John Glenn Bobcats early on here in this first period, we're all knotted up at 2, but this looks like a fun match.
I think this is going to be a fun one here, Jeff. About 15 seconds to go in round 1. And Stasek has a half deep, looking to turn him. Greenleaf fighting off the back points. None have been awarded yet.
So we've got 2 seconds left. An illegal hold called?
Yeah, it might have Stasek might have accidentally slipped in a full Nelson. That's worth 1 point. That should give Greenleaf the 3-2 advantage going into round 2.
2 seconds left, and the end of our first period. What an entertaining first period.
This is going to be a fun one. I have this one going all 3 rounds here. We're going to see 2 tired guys in about the next 10 minutes here, Jeff.
2 tired guys that are then going to have about 60 minutes to fill their tank and be ready to go out and compete again.
And I guarantee you the conditioning involved in the last 3 weeks will get them there. But as mentioned, there's going to be some sore guys tomorrow, Sunday afternoon.
And potentially advantage for some of the wrestlers is they won't have to compete 5 times today because there are some vacant slots for some teams.
Yeah, we're seeing an awful lot of that today. Talking to some guys this morning, looks like all the teams are down at this point in December. Fighting off some injuries, some classroom issues, so there's a lot of patchwork going on here. So what'll make this interesting is looks like there are 3 teams that have a very real shot at taking home the county championship today.
Jenks with a 4-3 lead right now, and again, we're almost at the midway part of this second period. These are 2 very evenly matched young men.
This is a back and forth seesaw war, and we're at kind of a critical point in the team matchup right now. John Glenn could get right back in this with a win, and a pin will get him within 3.
As it looks like Jenks is going for another spin move, trying to get Greenleaf onto his back.
He's got a very deep half in, and I'm going to tell you, if you want to talk about emptying a guy's tank, the way Stasic is fighting, check that, the way Greenleaf is fighting off that half, that'll take a few minutes of stamina away from you. Very painful. But he did it.
He fought it off, and he looks like he may get a reversal in 2.
Sure did. If he spins and gets behind, that's going to be a 2-point reversal, but Stasic fought off the flurry and back in control, and he's got that deep half in once again. And now he's scoring some back points. If he can catch the pin here with 20 seconds to go in this round, this puts John Glenn within 3.
And he is very, very close to that final spin. Time will be the only thing that keeps it from happening. With 8 seconds left, he's able to finish.
Big finish for Stasic and a big win for the John Glenn Bobcats. Terrific match.
And if you've never been to a wrestling match before, most of the fans that are here, Mike, don't sit on their hands.
No, of all the sports that I've competed in and watched, spectated, and announced for, I would say the wrestling fan is the most dedicated of all the fans.
So the match now at 24-21. I think a very pleasant surprise here to the casual spectator that this match is this close. That's kudos to John Glenn for bringing that program up in a few years to this level.
Absolutely. The Garber Dukes are the reigning county champs, as you know. We were here last year. The John Glenn Bobcats, talking to my sources this morning, again, the numbers are good. They're a young bunch, and they're a scrappy bunch. Hanging in with the reigning county champs right now.
All right. Trying to check right now if we're at the 35 or at the 40. As quickly 2-2, just 30 seconds into our first of 3 periods potentially in this match. Again, information coming our way in the morning is not always concrete, so Guru, what did you find?
Got Andrew Newman stepping in for Garber, we believe. And we're at the 135-pound weight class.
So potentially, if this is going on, we don't have a John Glenn wrestler in that slot, I do believe.
And I've just been informed that is Carson Stasic out there right now for John Glenn. Our apologies to our wrestling fans out there. We're kind of hitting the ground running and getting our information very quickly as the matches go on. Andrew Newman at 135 taking on Carson Stasic, bumping up a weight class right now.
And that's great. Looks like early on the Garber Dukes have got some ride time points, and are looking to finish this one with 40 ticks left in the first, but the John Glenn Bobcats starve off an opportunity to get put on their back, and they're fighting back.
There's Coach Facundo for John Glenn and Matt Bishop, the assistant coach for John Glenn. One of the things you do as a coach, the first thing you want to teach is guys to fight off their backs and not give up those 16 points. That's where the conditioning comes in. That's where the strength comes in. You start working on their pride in the room, and you say, okay, we're going to go against some guys that may have more experience than us, but we're not going to let them pin us. John Glenn, Matt Bishop, Rolando Facundo, very good at teaching toughness.
Now you want to talk about another name that transcends generations, Facundo.
Oh, absolutely. I've been in the Bay County area since the early 1990s. The Facundos have been making noise in the wrestling world since at least the 70s and probably before that. Many, many generations of some really fine Bay County wrestlers.
I go back to a young man named Augie that was late 70s, early 80s wrestler.
Yes, he is. He was finished third in the 90s, mid-90s, third in the state for Bay City Central, and did so with a blown-out knee. Basically wrestled on one leg and took third. His son recently graduated from Davison High School and was a two-time state champ for the Davison Cardinals.
How about that reversal? Very quick and lightning move. The Bobcats found themselves from the top to the bottom, now fighting for an escape.
Newman for Garber is a real banger. You can tell he's been doing this for a long time. If you take a look at that long, lanky body, it's probably hard to imagine that guy's a 135-pounder. Long and lanky, those are tough guys to go against.
Well, and you look at him when his body is flexing for a move, and he's no stranger to the weight room.
Absolutely. And went down hard on the wood floor. Looks like he's going to shake that off.
It's funny, we call it shake it off, as we make it sound like it's easy to do, but they certainly are acclimated to this happening, and they're normally given an extra few seconds if needed to make sure everything's good.
Yep. Newman needed about 5 seconds to brush that off. You and I, Jeff, would probably be at McLaren Regional for the rest of the weekend.
Again here, the Garber Dukes have got Andrew Newman on top at the moment against Carson Stazek, and what is a pretty good match right now at 7-2.
Yeah, a couple of tough guys. Newman's got the advantage, 5-point advantage, in full control right now, but looks like Stazek is going to possibly score a reversal and narrow it to 7-4. If he spins behind, there it is. That's the reversal. Referee Tierhar signals.
And that is the key. Once you rotate your body behind, that's where the 2 points instantly come in.
That's a 2-point reversal, that's right. Again, for our new fans, the scoring works as follows. A takedown to the mat where the referee demonstrates control is worth 2 points. The down wrestler, if he reverses and establishes control, that's worth 2 points. And then you also get near fall points. If the back is exposed to the mat for 5 seconds or more, that's worth 3 near fall points. If it's 2 to 4 seconds, that's worth 2 near fall points. New fans tend to have a hard time at first with the scoring, but if you stay with us for this tournament, you'll catch on.
Another 2-point reversal by the Garber Dukes, and Newman is going to run out of time here with 5 seconds left. I don't know that he's going to be able to make it.
Definitely scoring near fall points, and boy, you can tell coaches at Garber really go over that half Nelson and how to run that properly. Man, is that painful when they get it in that deep.
See, that's the thing, you know, as a wrestler, you have to determine how you can endure that pain to fight through it, but even if you do fight through it, you know that you go to the empty point of the tank much quicker with the energy you have to put forth.
That's right, and the only way to fight that off was mind-bending hard work from the beginning of the season to the end of the season, and quite often in the off-season. That's how you fight that off, and there's no other way.
Carson Stazak with a 2-point reversal, trying to get some ride time right now at 12-6. A nice escape by the Garber Dukes as Newman does a nice job. He's up 13-6.
That's right. Newman had kind of a slow shot. Stazak sprawled and spun, and then Newman quickly recovered for the escape point. Points are happening fast in this match. A couple of very experienced wrestlers going at it.
As they get out of the circle, and with 1:18 left in the third period, it is 13-6 right now, Garber on top. Just stand up straight. Just a good mic. There you go. As John Glenn again with Stasic now trying to spin around to see if he can get into this 13-6 deficit that he's got. But with 55 seconds left, he's running out of time.
Yep. Well, there's two reversal. Stasic is hanging in there, 13-8. Quick reversal by Newman, though. Quickly recovers, 15-8. Launching points every few seconds.
So it was a reversal of the reversal. And wow, you blinked for a second and we got a quick one.
Newman stuck that big half Nelson in there and got a quick pin with 39 seconds to go. Terrific job. Garber looks like they're ready to defend their title today. Now up 30-21 against John Glenn.
How about that 6-point swing as the John Glenn Bobcats bring it back to within 3? Garber Dukes with an answer.
As mentioned, those pins pay off big dividends in these matches. If the wrestler can fight off his back, he saves his team 2, sometimes 3 points. It's very important to stay off the back if at all possible. And if you are in the advantage as the offensive wrestler, if you can launch the pin, you might contribute toward a county championship today.
So it looks like in the 40 class, the John Glenn Bobcats are going to take this uncontested, and we will potentially move up into the 45 or the 52 class.
45, Nick Basket. Buzzard. Ethan Buzzard.
All right, as we shoot on back, looks like we've got Alex Mejia out on the mat right now.
Nope.
Alex just did the last. Okay.
It is Ethan Buzzard for John Glenn going against Nick Basket.
Geez, our producer is quite interesting this morning. I was misinformed and didn't take long for the correction to take place.
That's right. Well, it's early yet still. I think Natalie might need a cup of coffee along with us, Jeff.
Yep, I say we'll order 3 cups and make it good, as it's 30-27 that quickly back to a 3-point match.
Yep, couple of voids, John Glenn right back in it. This will be an interesting match right here. Buzzard and Basket, both experienced wrestlers coming up in the youth programs around town here.
So Ethan Buzzard from John Glenn and Nick Basket from Garber, as the two of those young men are making it happen. And that Alex Mejia in that last match put on quite a tussle, but again, it's 30-27 now outside the area. 2-point ride just prior to getting outside the circle.
That's right. Nick Basket, being the experienced wrestler he is, made sure he had both boots inside the circle. You can score that way. If you take the wrestler down with both of your boots inside the circle, that is a 2-point takedown, and Nick did so.
So that's part of your technique. You have to make sure, even if your opponent's out, that you know what parts of your body are still inside the circle.
That's right. That is something that gets worked on in the practice room as well. Basket working a chicken wing on the edge. Another strategy involved is if you're going against a tough wrestler and you are on the edge of the mat, we used to call this stalling without stalling. You can burn a lot of clock at the edge of the mat if you dig that chicken wing in there and make it look like you're working, empty the other guy's tank, and maintain a lead. Good strategy by Basket.
So it's kind of fun when you could stall without getting called for stalling.
That's right. Of course, it's trickier when you have some experienced referees, which we do today.
So again, sliding through this match right now, it's just a little 2-0 lead for the Garber Dukes. A great match going on right now.
That's right. And you could see Basket sinking that deep half in there. I can tell Garber's been working on that for the last 3 weeks and probably in the off season too.
Yeah, I would say their signature move thus far today has definitely been the half Nelson.
that deep half, and again, if you can, you always taught sinking it in deep using your index finger and being able to touch the opposite ear of the opponent. That's how you sink it in deep, and you use your hips and you rotate to make the guy turn. And there comes Basket with another power half.
But what a great reversal by Nick Basket to put himself in position, running out of mat once again. As the circles of the mat are the same size, so as we go back and forth, people say, wow, this mat's a little smaller. Nope, the wrestling surface is the same. It's just the outside of the mat's a little bit smaller on the exterior of the circle.
That's correct. Regulation circles across the state of Michigan.
So we have got Nick Basket on top, getting some serious ride time right now.
Working a chicken wing into a bar, going for the turn, in full control, 4-0 for the Baskets. I was going to mention Baskets as in plural. This comes from a pretty rich wrestling family. Nick and Mark Basket have been wrestling since they were about 5 or 6, and Nick is a sophomore in high school this year. His older brother Zach is wrestling 189 and is ranked 4th in the state currently.
Two kids expounding that much energy and burning that many calories on a day. Their parents got to be no stranger to the Kroger's and the Meijer stores and trying to fill their tank with food.
Absolutely. I got to keep these guys energized. You mentioned weight, though. I was talking to Mark Basket today, the father of Nick and Zach, and mentioned that Zach played football. He was rolling at about 205 pounds just a few months ago, and he shaved his way all the way down to 189 and did it the right way.
As we have got a minute left in the second period, we're at 4-1 Garber right now, as Nick Basket is again looking for a spin.
Just worked a cross-face cradle and almost scored some near-fall points. Buzzard fought that one off. Basket's working that cradle again. Now he's immediately into something else.
So Ethan Buzzard certainly is another kid that's been wrestling for a while, so we've got two experienced wrestlers banging out here.
Yes, we do. Basket working that half. Buzzard fighting the half off. Basket in full control on top. But Buzzard, being a tough John Glenn Bobcat, is not going to get turned very easily today.
Then sensing what your opponent is doing and learning a quick counter for it is essential, because a second or so could be a disaster.
That's absolutely right. It's another moral of this sport. If you let your guard down for just 1 second, you could be in a world of hurt.
End of the second period, 4-1. A relatively hard-fought match here with two young men that are really having to work hard for points.
Yes. Wanted to mention a little bit about Nick Basket, sophomore. I talked about his brother quite a bit during the first and second rounds. Nick is really putting his heart and soul into this game also, and shaved some pounds to get down to 140. Spoken. So big things in the future for this young man.
We got
nice 2 points. Yes, he did. Nice 2-point reversal. Nice spin move for Basket. Now leading 6-1.
And again, with $1:40 left in the third period, it's going to be really tough for Ethan Buzzard to come back and score 6 points to get a win.
That's true, but there's an interesting strategy involved right now. Basket is heading toward a 3-point victory for his team. He's leading by 5, but this is going to be a regular decision worth 3 team points unless he can turn Buzzard. If he can turn him for a 9-1 advantage, he could get a major decision, which is 4 team points. And Basket just conceded the escape, so he's going to work some takedowns to see if he can get a major victory for his team and try to snake out 1 more point for the Garber Dukes.
So that's where you sometimes strategically allow somebody to escape. You give up a point because you feel like you've got a move left in your arsenal that can get you more than that.
That's correct. That's correct. You concede the escape, so you can get 2 for a takedown. And if you have time, let them up again, and you can score your points that way to up the margin of victory.
Both of these kids seem to be so much on the same page, which tells you how long these kids have wrestled. And they've probably, without a doubt, wrestled each other a whole bunch of times over the years.
I would say that's safe to say. They probably squared off in a bunch of youth tournaments over the years. There's Basket's takedown. Going according to plan, Basket is up by 6 right now. He's got 34 seconds. He's going to have to let him up and take him down 2 more times for that major victory.
And I would say we probably are going to run out of time before that happens.
Odds are against a major victory, but Basket's going to take at least 3 for the Dukes here.
29 seconds and holding while they hop back on the mat as Ethan Buzzard is trying to make things happen against Nick Basket here in the opening round of the 2018 Bay County Boys Wrestling Championships this year held at Garber.
Yep, Buzzard knows exactly what Basket is doing, and Buzzard is doing a good job of killing the clock. Less than 10 seconds to go. Basket up by 6.
And I'd say he's going to run out of time to score that extra point here.
That's right. Buzzard did a nice job. Basket could have an interesting day here. As you know, Jeff, the Bay County Wrestling Tournament is a competitive tournament. Nick Basket is a sophomore, and for a sophomore to possibly take a county championship, that takes some doing. And Nick Basket's in the running.
That's the end of the match, and we'll take a real quick break and be back right after this on Bay County TV. AAA Transport and Limousine is the Great Lakes Bay region's most reliable and requested transportation service. For over a decade, we have been helping our clients to get to their destination on time, in style, and comfort. AAA's services include non-emergency medical transport, wheelchair accessible, school transportation, and shuttle services. We strive to provide exceptional customer service and tailor our fleet to meet your individual needs. Rest assured that you are in safe hands when you ride with AAA Transport and Limousine. To set up your next appointment, give us a call at 989-893-8294.
Sports give so many opportunities to kids. It gives them an opportunity to see where they fit within a team, persevere, understanding how to work with different personalities. Those are the lessons that will make you a successful adult. As a mom, you have to have an understanding of what concussions are.
Concussions are things that are treatable. If we take care of athletes, they will be able to develop and have a long, happy, healthy life.
Good morning and welcome back. We have got Bay City Central and Garber banging heads here in the first match of round number 2. As again, we're verifying information to make sure that we're certain who is who. As we're about a minute into this first period, just checking for confirmation on exactly who we've got wrestling for Garber and Central. Our apologies, as the information we get in the morning is only bit it together. And what did we find out, Mike?
Chase Hoisington for Garber going against Javon Anderson of Central. Hoisington had a crunch cradle he was working. Anderson just fought it off. Hoisington with a 2-0 lead for the Garber Dukes.
45 seconds left in our first period here. This is round 2 of a grueling 5-round day for these young athletes, and I see them out in the hallway too in between. They're running laps around the building and trying to stay loose and keep the energy levels flowing.
That's right. This is something I know for a fact that wrestlers from throughout this area really look forward to this one. Hoisington with a quick pin for the Garber Dukes, take a 6-0 lead. Jeff, I've just been told we have the match, possibly the match of the day coming up right now. Mason Schumacher for Bay City Central taking on Zach Basket of Garber. Schumacher currently ranked 7th at 215 for Bay City Central. Zach Basket currently ranked 4th at 189 for Garber. This is going to be a good one.
This is a battle of 2 of the top 7 rated wrestlers, and we know how familiar these guys are. The energy from the first second tells you what we're going to be in for.
Absolutely. These guys are ready to go. These guys have been, they've been reading the papers, they've been reading the headlines, and they've been looking at YouTube. They've been following each other, believe me. Schumacher has a front headlock in. tried to work it into a single. Basket did a nice job fighting it off.
I see this as being a fairly low-scoring match because I think both of these people are great at countering.
And Basket just did a duck under and scored a 2-point takedown. Great effort there.
Well, he nearly got spun over by Schumacher, who tried to reverse that in a hurry.
Yes, he did. This is going to be one of those matches that it's going to go right to every single second of this next 6 minutes is going to count. One little mental error could make the difference. One great move could make the difference.
And it happens at this level of two talented athletes in the twinkling of an eye.
That's right. You can see Schumacher just did a nice job with an escape. Narrowed the gap 2-1 right now.
Boy, and I'm going to tell you what, there's another match going on right now, but all eyes in this gymnasium are on what we feel will be the feature match of the day.
Absolutely, and you will hear the noise level. I'm sure you'll hear it amped up as the match progresses. Schumacher goes for another single. He's in deep. Basket fighting it off with a whizzer. Schumacher trying to steer him back in bounds. Just barely missed getting 2 boots in. No points scored in that exchange.
Boy, what a great move. He just ran out of mat.
That's right. And that wasn't any accident either. Zach Basket knew where he was on the mat and knew what to do to avoid giving up that 2 points. Maintains a 1-point lead with just under 15 seconds to go in round 1.
Boy, a high-energy first round of this match as Schumacher and Basket are banging right now, and with 3 seconds left, I think that we'll end up this first period at 2-1, kind of right where we thought it may end up. And as you go 3 periods here, you're only looking to get maybe 10 seconds or so in between periods, not like you really get a good blow.
That's right. Yep. They get to rest about 10-15 minutes from now, given time, and believe me, they're going to need it. Schumacher with a deep half in. Working on a little stamina. Zach Basket working something called a Peterson roll, trying to work a Peterson roll, but Schumacher fighting that one off. Basket in deep on a single, close to an escape. Schumacher working something called a spladle, but just misses on the spladle. Basket is inches away from a reversal, and there it is. Zach Basket up 4-1. Giving up about 15 pounds in this match, too.
Well, I'm going to tell you what, when you look at these two young men and how quick things turn, Basket with a quick move on Schumacher. I had him on his back momentarily.
Just for a moment, near fall wasn't quite there, and look at that. Schumacher with a big reversal, scoring back points right now. And launches the pin for Bay City Central. What a win, what a match. Boy, that was quick.
Boy, and I want to tell you what, that match turned in just a matter of about 5 seconds, and that's exactly how it goes when you've got two great wrestlers.
Absolutely. Just seconds before that pin, Basket was close to scoring points, and that's what I meant in this match. When you have a couple of great competitors like that, the key part of the match takes place within just a couple of seconds.
Now, to be fair, we talked earlier, there's a differential in weight class here, and that certainly has something to do with the potential outcome.
Certainly, I'm going to say that from this end. Basket was giving up about 12 pounds, and that does make a difference. But I know Zach, he's a competitor, and he's not using that as an excuse at all. He wanted that match bad, and believe me, right now, he wants to go right back at it.
And it looks like Bay City Central, with that win and the uncontested heavyweight, are going to find themselves up 12-6.
Yeah, that was Dreech Hawkins taking a void for Bay City Central. Heading into the 103-pound match, Kaylee Wupio from Garber is going to take a void. Looks like we could have a match at 112, though. I have Jesse Hugo for Garber, possibly going against Lorian Quinn of Bay City Central. We'll see if he made the bus trip over. Looks like Quinn's ready to go.
Both are. Looks like we're going to have a match at 112 here. As, we're going to go through about the first half of this match, and then we're going to slide over on the other side, and looks like we're going to see John Glenn and Pinconning to roll off round 2. So we'll look at this match here at 112. with, again, Jesse Hugo and Lorian Quinn. See how things go. Again, welcome back to the 2018 Boys Bay County Wrestling Championships here on Bay County TV. And again, what are they putting on their ankles, and what is the purpose?
The green and red ankle bands are for the referees, actually. As we saw in the last match, scoring tends to happen very quickly in this sport. The referee signals it. You see the referee with the wristbands on, red on the left, green on the right. He signals to the score table as to who scores the points, so the scorekeepers can keep track on the boards up above.
Well, you got to be on top of things as a referee to know left from right and what's going on here. Looks like we've got a great match going on at 12. Central going for a reversal, and looks like they pick it up.
Quinn hit that double leg, got in nice and deep, scores the 2-point takedown for Bay City Central.
Jesse Hugo fighting for a reversal and may nearly have one if he can get a quick spin around. A lot of energy being expended by these 112ers.
Yeah, these guys have a few different gears that the Big Uglies don't have at the 215 and heavyweight level. And when I say Big Uglies, they know I mean that with love, Jeff.
That's a respectful term indeed.
Oh, take a lot of pride in that.
As we see Bay City Central right now in a position is Quinn with a nice move and seeing what he can do to pick up some extra points.
Lorian Quinn doing a nice job with the double leg takedown there. I can see coaches have taught this guy some tenacity. He stays with it. He doesn't quit on his moves. And he might put Hugo on his back right here. Hugo was doing an old mistake in wrestling. When you're on the bottom, you're not supposed to reach back for the head. It's a good way to go to your back. Quinn is taking advantage of it right now. Got a reverse half in. Scored some back points. He's going to get 3 more coming up here.
They give him 2, so now it is 4-0. He didn't quite get enough, and Garber Dukes with an escape pick up a quick point now to get back into the match as Hugo and Quinn are at it here with the end of our first period.
Quinn taking a 4-1 lead into round 2. Coach Berlager instructing Quinn on the ins and outs of a half Nelson, how to keep it in and how to sink it and not lose that pinning opportunity.
Do you find it quite common amongst coaches to have a team signature move?
Actually, very common, actually, and it tends to be whatever the coach specialized in, combined with what he's looking at this year on his roster, what the guys are capable of. So yes, they do. They emphasize certain moves based on strategies and philosophies. Not unlike football coaches who prefer a certain offense over another. Wrestling coaches tend to do that as well.
Boy, Hugo trying to get a spin, picks up 2 points. As now it is 4-3 right now. As Quinn finds himself down on the bottom, and Hugo's going for the near pin. A nice little move to get back off his back, though, by Hugo.
There was that deep Garber half we've been looking at this morning. Now Hugo's working a cross-face cradle, coming close to locking it in. Quinn in a little bit of trouble on the bottom right now.
Now, when you say locking it in, that's bringing the second hand in to finish the move.
Yep, locking the hands, the head hand around the knee hand, locking it into a cradle. Very difficult to fight off your back if the wrestler locks it in. And now we're back to that deep half Nelson. Also tough fighting that off. Quinn is trying to roll through that half Nelson. Fighting off his back. He's going to give up 3 here. Hugo now in the lead.
Well, just that quick, it's 6-4. And this match coming down to the last 30 seconds of the second round. This is a fun one.
Yes, it is. Quinn just hustled into an escape after fighting off the near pinfall. Down by 1 with about 15 seconds to go in round 2. Hugo spins for a 2-point takedown. And Quinn back on his back. And with 7 seconds to go in round 2, Hugo launches the pin for Garber.
Well, that was a great match, and both of those young men with opportunities to finish the match.
That's right. The 3 and 12 and 19-pound weight classes. I always call those the Bobcat weight classes, and that's not a reference to the John Glenn Bobcats. That's because those guys that compete at that level look like Bobcats going at each other. Points happen very quickly.
As now we will look to our next weight class. Looks like the 35 weight class for Garber is uncontested. And then we'll go to the 40 class.
I'm going to check on the name here. I believe for Bay City Western, this might be Mac Damaris. And Garber, we're going to check that right now.
All right.
So that was so fun. Hey, Jeff.
How about the Central kid?
He's gone. The contact left.
Sorry?
The contact left.
All right, as I've got Scoop, as I'll call him, Mike Vincent, trying to verify names of the young men. On this match, the Garber Dukes are in an opportunity to very quickly end this match. Looks like they're going to run out of circle space before this ends. Scoop, what did you find?
Zach Greenleaf going against Mac Damaris of Bay City Western.
Central.
Bay City Central, excuse me. Oh my goodness, my friends at Central aren't going to like that one, Jeff. I hope we can edit that out.
Oh yeah, we'll take care of it. Never a problem. That's the beauty of tape delay. With a minute left in the first, it's already 5-0. Garber Dukes with the early lead, and a reversal for Central just as I speak and say, don't count me out late yet, because Damaris with a nice move.
Damaris is a relative newcomer to this sport and really looks like he's coming into his own. He's going against a very tough Greenleaf and fighting to stay in this match.
And again, you see the numbers at Central just down a little bit this year, which is a big change from what it's been in the past 8-10 years especially.
That's true. Right now there's 12 guys wrestling for them, and newcomers, they're kind of in a rebuilding year, much like Pinconning right now. And with Coach Bierlocker at the helm, though, they're one of those teams that's going to be a different team in February than they are right now. You can tell they've got some fight in them, and that's something to build on.
Damaris has got to fight out of a real tough situation right now, and he can't do it as both of those shoulder blades hit the mat, and there's an end of the match and a big 6 points for the Garber Dukes.
The Garber Dukes, last year's county champions, looks like they're ready to defend this morning.
They're up 24-12 right now, as we are looking at a potential matchup in the 40 match for our next competition, as it looks like Garber will get the 35 match uncontested.
Looks like Andrew Newman taking the void at 35. Should have Nick Baskett coming up at 140 for Garber.
With Alex Jerome.
I believe Alex Jerome will step on the mat for Bay City Central. Possibly, we'll see.
Yep. As they put on the anklet colors so that we can always start with what we call as a great customary handshake. Gentlemen of the sport, let's get after it.
And here they come. Nick Baskett just coming off his first victory of the day on the march for a county championship, he hopes. But he's going against an experienced wrestler in Alec Jerome.
Now, do they have both individual and team champions in the Bay County match?
Yes, they do. It's not a bracket tournament like you'll often see on Saturdays, but the wrestlers in each weight class that go 5-0 or 4-1 are determined to be the county champions. If we do have a round robin situation where one wrestler beats another, but then another wrestler beats him, and there's a couple of wrestlers that finish at 4-1, there's a criteria determined at the beginning of the tournament to determine who is the champion, and that's generally the one with the most takedowns during the day.
And boy, if we have a quick flashback to last year, we had to go about 5 criteria deep to make a tiebreaker in a match that went on at the 2017s at Pinconning that was interesting.
You just brought back an interesting memory. Yeah, I believe that was 6 criterias last year.
As Damaris with a nice takedown and gets 2, and we've knotted this match up at 2.
Yep, that's Alex Jerome for Bay City Western Bay City Central scoring back points for the Wolves. He's going to jump out to a 5-2 lead against Basket. And my goodness, Jerome with a big pinfall. Jerome,
Boy, that came from out of nowhere.
Yes, it did. Jerome's a solid wrestler, as you can see, but I have to call that a bit of an upset there. Nice job by Jerome.
Well, you look at young Jerome, though, and that young man is very, very well put together.
Yeah, no stranger to the weight room, well-conditioned athlete, which is a good thing to be in December.
As we'll look now to the 45 class, looks like neither has a 45 wrestler, and we go up to the 52 class.
And if the weight sheets are accurate, looks like Caden Putman is going to take a void for Garber. And the next match should be at 160 pounds.
Caden Walsh looks like he'll be up in the 60 class next. All right, I'm going to have a flashback with Caden Walsh. This young man grew up in my neighborhood.
Oh, no kidding.
And he got the nickname as a young man Scoop, because if you wanted to know anything about anything going on in the neighborhood, who was what, where, when, how, this young man rode his bike and he was omniscient. He knew all things.
Okay. I'm familiar with his older brother, I believe, Austin
Yes.
Walsh. A real good guy, real nice family, and a solid wrestler in his own right.
So this should be a fun match. Did not know that Caden had been wrestling. Maybe he hasn't been wrestling a long time, but it's going to be fun with Nearing and Walsh going at it here in the 60 class.
Yeah, Caden going to have his hands full against a tough guy, Carter Nearing of the Garber Dukes. But Walsh being a Walsh, I got to believe he's gonna hold his own here.
Well, just wrestling his big brother at the dinner table, you know he's got to be tough and scrappy.
Absolutely. I always thought the younger siblings had a bit of an advantage in this sport. They got to look around for a year or two, and the older brothers tend to pave the road, and the younger brothers take advantage of that.
Boy, tough injury for older brother. Didn't allow him to play football as a senior, and I know he missed that in a big way, but he's continued on successfully with life.
Yes, and that ends up being the ultimate lesson of, all sports, and this one in particular. As I mentioned earlier, it's a sport that teaches us that we're capable of working about 10 times harder than we ever thought we'd be capable of, and we never would have learned that were it not for games like this. It teaches it along the way, and Austin is one of those guys who's going to have that lesson throughout his life, and I'm certain Caden will too.
So again, Caden Walsh for Bay City Central, Carter Nearing in the light blue for Western. Halfway through that first period and no points scored.
Deadlock 0-0 with just under a minute to go in round one. Looks like we're going to have a good competitive match at the 160-pound level. Nearing scored with a nice duck under. Takes a quick 2-0 lead. Walsh just about had that escape. Still working at it. Nearing with a big throw. Walsh fighting on his back. And Nearing scores the pinfall just like that. Strikes like lightning.
Boy, I'll tell you, that came out of nowhere, but that's just how you can secure a move and finish a match.
That is the interesting thing about this sport. We had a very competitive match for about 45 seconds. And just like that, if there's just a little bit of a lapse or just one little minor error, that can make all the difference.
As I believe we're going to maybe have the 71 match here next.
Yeah, that's Shea Cripps for Bay City Central taking on Chase Hoisington of Garber.
So see, you're not the only one that have got him confused. I was just informed that I called Central a Western earlier too, so.
Well, Western currently warming up on the big mat today. Looks like they've got great numbers again. As you know, with Bay City Western, they have a very, very rich history in this area and across the state of Michigan. And they might be the team to beat this morning and afternoon.
I've just been informed that Chase Housington is not the Central wrestler and Garber wrestler, excuse me, because He is on the side, and again, running out of mat space just before a pinfall happen. Will pick up at least 2.
Got it, and that is, I believe, Alex Christie now for Garber, taking on Shea Cripps of Central. Shea Cripps, tough kid at Bay City Central. This is only his 2nd year of wrestling, but he wrestles like a 4th or 5th year wrestler. He's got his hands full because Christie is one of those guys that have been doing this for about 10 years, though.
As we go right now, boy, you get that front face locked in now, and boy, when you got that Nelson.
That's a cross-face cradle. He just locked up against Cripps, put him right to his back. Very, very difficult move to fight off, especially when it's locked in tight like that. Christie scores the pinfall for the Garber Dukes.
We really saw what we can look forward to this year in wrestling in the 2018-19 season. We saw some good stuff.
Yes, we have so far. This is kind of the crown jewel of wrestling around this area, the county tournament. This is something we always look forward to as coaches, and I know the wrestlers look forward to this.
And as we look back over the last couple of decades, you've seen Central with dominance for a period, you've seen Western with dominance for a period, and you've seen Garber with dominance for a period. And you love to see that all 3 of those teams just continue to battle back and forth.
That's right. We should mention the John Glenn Bobcats as well, had a couple of hot years. They're a young team today, but they've got great numbers. They've got an experienced coach in Rolando Facundo. They've got a very, very accomplished assistant by the name of Matt Bishop, who will turn some heads. He's back on the bench for John Glenn, and I guarantee you the other coaches around the area are nervous about that.
Again, always a pleasure to have Mike Vincent along with us. Have a great day. This is our last match before the holiday season, so the very merriest of Christmas and a Happy New Year to one and all.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
You treat your family with extraordinary care every day, which is why when it comes to their health, more of you choose Covenant Healthcare. We specialize in extraordinary care, from diagnosis to recovery, from babies to grandparents. Learn more about our extraordinary bariatrics program. Sign up for our free seminar.
So your car is getting towed and you're not sure where to take it? Try Village Towing and Auto Repair. Our expert mechanics are here to help assist you with all your repair needs. We have over 30 years of experience with motor vehicles, so you know you're getting the best work that you can find. Stop by the shop at 2377 South Huron Road in Coquitlam, or give us a call at 989-684-9607. AAA Transport and Limousine is the Great Lakes Bay region's most reliable and requested transportation service. For over a decade, we have been helping our clients to get to their destination on time, in style, and comfort. AAA's services include non-emergency medical transport, wheelchair accessible, school transportation, and shuttle services. We strive to provide exceptional customer service and tailor our fleet to meet your individual needs. Rest assured that you are in safe hands when you ride with AAA Transport and Limousine. To set up your next appointment, give us a call at 989-893-8294.